don't care if it's July 28th, I'm predicting the championship, the 2025-26 season. Yeah, this is gonna probably go about as well as it did last time, which it didn't, so, yeah, let's do it. In 24th, I have Sheffield Wednesday. You know, Sheffield Wednesday looked like they were really starting to get good, like in the previous few years. Yeah, that kind of disappeared. They end up losing pretty much all of their best players, and yeah, now they have pretty much no one. I mean, they have a single goalkeeper. I mean, I don't see how this team, one injury in this team is like basically screwed. Yeah, and it's like I think Sheffield Wednesday is gonna get 18 points, 2 wins in a 46 game season. Danny Rawls is probably gonna get sacked. I honestly don't see how this is his fault. Look at this team. Like this is no way salvageable, like at all. But I might go for a bit of a crazy prediction as well. I think they're just gonna make Barry Bannon a player manager. Why not, right? 23rd. Maybe a bit of a crazy one, but you know what? I do kind of believe it a little bit. Portsmouth. Portsmouth honestly kind of disappointed me last year. I mean, I thought they would be a lot more comfortable. I think the big thing, though, is not actually the team. I think it's the manager. John Moutinho, I actually wouldn't be too surprised if he ditches Portsmouth. I don't know, like maybe a job at Braga comes up or something and he takes it. Maybe going to like Belgium or the Netherlands, like a bigger team in one of those leagues, ends up having a job opening and takes it immediately. And basically, by like November, Portsmouth just don't really have a manager. I think they're going to make the wrong decision, and they're going to appoint Wayne Rooney, and that's why they're going down. 22nd. All right, this might be the craziest taking the entire video. You know what? I think it is. I don't think this is being topped. Anything I say, this is not being topped. Birmingham City. Yeah, I fucking said it. I don't see the hype in Birmingham. I really don't. I'm seeing people saying, "Oh, Birmingham are gonna go and get top half. Birmingham are gonna get in playoffs. They're gonna win playoffs. They're gonna win the league." What the fuck? I'm looking at seeing this team. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. There's not a single player here that I think can actually bring this team to the Premier League. Not a chance. I mean, in recent time they did get Damari Gray, pretty recognizable name. So if I got 4 goals in Saudi Arabia, yeah, his 4 goals, the thing I can count on one hand, is not going to bring you to the Premier League. Statistically, the Saudi Pro League is actually a worse rated league than the Championship. So he's probably not going to do any better. And a lot of the players here, it's like, I kind of debate if they're good enough for the Championship. But I think more so, they're going to have so much pressure, it's just not going to work. Their manager is like barely done management in the first place. It's like, how can I trust this team to actually get promoted? I mean, that's just crazy. The fact that people think Birmingham's getting promoted based on I don't know what is crazy. I think maybe I'm being a little harsh saying they're getting relegated. There is no chance this team gets higher than 15th, like in any universe. Like this is like people just think that this is just gonna be another Ipswich or something like that because Ipswich happened last year. No, that's not something that just happens every year, especially with a not proven manager and pretty much half the team not being proven in the Championship in the first place. So how in the fuck are they supposed to win the league? How are they supposed to get promoted? Even staying up, I think, is a big ask for this team. I think people are massively overrating this team, and honestly, I've never seen such an overrated team ever in my life. It's insane. 21st, you know what? I think Charlton Athletic are actually going to stay up. Maybe crazy to say right after saying all that about Birmingham. But no, actually, I do think they're going to stay up. It's going to be probably by like a point. Nathan Jones, I could see him doing, like, making Charlton his new Luton. Kaminski's actually a good goalkeeper in the Championship, though didn't really prove it last year. He's supposed to be a good goalkeeper. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think they really have a better opportunity than this. Some other years, they felt so much more like a fluke side to go up. But this year, you know, with a manager that actually has done well in the Championship before with Luton, and with a couple of players on that team that have also done well with teams in higher levels not too long ago, I mean, this is their best shot to stay up I think they've ever had. I think they're going to take it. 20th, I'm going Stoke. I know Stoke has gone down 1 spot every year, and this time I'm actually going to have them drop 2 spots, maybe a bit of a risk. But traditions break eventually, and although they have Mark Robbins as manager, I actually do like Mark Robbins. I don't know. I was actually tempted to put them in relegation, considering Stoke just keeps getting worse every year. They never seem to bring in good players, but they actually did get a couple good players recently. They got, they now have Ben Gibson and Aaron Cresswell. 2 players actually played in the Premier League not too long ago, so I do think that might help them a little bit. But honestly, they may only stay up by about 2 points. I actually think they have a serious chance of getting relegated. 19th. Oxford United. I don't think Oxford are going to be improving too much from last season. Only staying by about 4 points. In 18th, Watford. I was a little harsh on Watford in my last year's prediction video, so I'm being a little more lenient this time, but I still think they really suck. It was definitely the wrong decision to sack Tom Cleverley, in my opinion. A manager that hasn't actually officially managed. Last year was his first official season as manager, and he managed to basically have the team for half the season in a playoff fight. Although it did die down, he went like 14th. It's about as good as like many managers that have been managing for decades. And he's literally was his first ever managerial season they sacked him for, which I still think is insane. And it really shows how insane Watford's expectations are. But yeah, and I just don't think it's going to be the same. They're going to sack their current manager, and they're going to bring in. They might go kind of weird with the manager appointment. I'm going to go somewhere crazy. Thomasberg, is that his actual name? The manager of Midtjylland, because why not, right? Maybe he wants to make a transition into England. I mean, that does happen a lot with some Nordic countries. Honestly, kind of struggling for names on that for Watford there, but whatever. 17th, Preston North End. They had a pretty bad year last year, and I think some of that will still show. I mean, Preston do seem like they're on the wrong side of things. As much as I have shat on him, Paul Heckingbottom is not the worst manager for the Championship, although he could be better, I would say. I don't think he's a completely terrible pick. Overall, the team, there's not too many names that stand out. I do think Daniel Jebsen will be very good for them, though. That is a great pickup, I would say. I wouldn't be too surprised if he gets a solid 20 goals, like genuinely. I think Heckingbottom will narrowly keep his job. It's going to be a bit close, but I think Preston are going to give him another season. 16th, Derby County. Yeah, Derby getting 16th. Never thought I'd be saying that. I honestly, last year and even a couple of years ago when they were just kind of stuck in League One, I kind of writ them off as a team that could ever really come back. They're looking all right. I mean, I don't think they're going to make any big jumps or anything, but John Eustace is a pretty good manager as well. And this team that I thought was League One quality actually stayed up. In 15th, Queen's Park Rangers. I think they're going to have a pretty uneventful year. Not too much is going to be happening, I think. They're just going to be mid-table all year. Nothing really going on. 14th, Wrexham. I was tempted to put them higher. I don't think they're making playoffs or getting promoted. I think that's a bit too insane since they've already done that so many times. Eventually they're going to hit a wall, and I think it's finally happening in the Championship. They're going to have to spend another year. They have brought in some very good players, though. Danny Ward I'm not sure if he's going to be starter or backup to Arthur Okonkwo, but I mean, picked him from last year, not bad for the Championship. They also now have Jay Rodriguez as striker, probably. So I don't mind that pickup either. I mean, good leader, I'd say as well. And then they still have the usual James McClain. It looks very likely they're going to be getting Christian Eriksen, which is nuts. I remember when they rumored for Tom Cairney, I thought that was going to happen, and it didn't. If they get Eriksen, that is nuts. I still don't think I'm going to be changing my position from them, though. Mainly because, I mean, at the end of the day, they've kind of gone up too quickly now, where it's like, I think even if they get some really good players, it could be tough. Phil Parkinson as well. He hasn't managed a change for a very long time, so it could be a tough season for him as well. I think he's definitely keeping his job, but it sucks to say, but it may be time to move on soon from him. I mean, Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney have already had to make some pretty tough decisions, and that might be their next tough one in the future, in the next year or two. If they want to really make that jump to the Premier League, I don't think they can with them. One thing I really do worry about Wrexham placing not in a playoff spot or promotion is that a lot of their sponsors are really big and very American. And I'm very worried that, some of the sponsors they have, like Expedia and whatnot, are going to see Wrexham going 14th. I think that's a bad year. Or Wrexham fans over in America will think that getting 14th is a bad season and that they're done for and there's no point in following them, and then the sponsor's going to pull. And I really hope that doesn't happen, because 14th should be considered a really good year for Wrexham, especially in the Championship. This is no season to be disappointed about at all, and this is going to happen eventually. They're going to fail to go up eventually, and people need to realize that the Championship doesn't give a fuck about these kinds of teams that just rise really quickly. They need to really earn their spot. 13th, Hull City. Yeah, who would have thought Hull City would be 13th in the Championship in this modern day? Hull City kind of does a weird thing. It seems like every other year they're really good or really bad. Sometimes, though, they just are okay, and a lot of times it comes off of a really bad year like they just had. I think they're going to balance themselves out, for, at least for this year, and not really be in any relegation battle, and not really do a whole lot. They're just going to somehow make it up here. This kind of thing that happens in the championship all the time. Random ass team just randomly just has a passable year. I think Hull City is going to be that team this year. 12, Bristol City. Yeah, I really don't want to put Bristol like 12th, especially after such a great year they had, but I think there's going to be a lot of fatigue from failing to go up to the Premier League. This thing happens a lot to teams. I mean, look at Barnsley, for example. They end up getting relegated after doing it. I don't think Bristol are going to be falling that hard. In fact, if you really consider falling that hard, they're basically just going back to where they used to be, like, not too long ago. Not to mention the fact that they don't have Liam Manning here anymore. 11th, Norwich. I think Norwich's time of, going up is obviously pretty much over. They'll have a slightly better year than the last few years. Liam Manning is the manager of Norwich, who I do think is a good manager. The problem is that I don't particularly think Norwich have what it takes to go up, or really even be in playoffs. I mean, Josh Sargent might be one of their best players, and probably only getting about 11 goals. I mean, not terrible 11 goals, but when you need a player to basically bring you to playoffs, 11 goals won't really do it. 10th, I'm going to go with Blackburn. I think Blackburn's going to still hang around near the top. I don't think they're having a big drop like they did a couple years ago. I mean, Ismail is a good manager, so I think he's going to be really the big reason for it. But yeah, similar to Norwich, I just don't think they have what it takes for quality of players to really bring them up. I mean, again, yeah, not a lot of these players are super good, in my opinion. Like, I mean, they're good enough for the championship, obviously, but like for Premier League promotion, Todd Cantwell is the only one that really has at least actual Premier League experience here. As far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty certain he's the only one. I guess for Blackburn fans, the big hope is that Ismail can just absolutely carry this team, which I don't see being completely impossible, so at least got that. 9th, Ipswich. I think Ipswich is having a little bit like a similar thing to Luton, except nowhere near as bad. I don't think Ipswich are going to have a shock year like Luton and completely get relegated. I really do believe that Kieran McKenna can definitely keep them around. There are still some good players. I think Muric is a good goalkeeper, especially the championship. Although they are lacking a lot in midfield right now, but they can easily just put Amari Hutchinson in midfield. It's not really much of a problem. Nathan Broadhead, I think, is good. Sam Smokas. And then they also just signed Ashley Young, who I think is a great signing for the championship. I mean, he was able to play a lot of games for Everton last season. Even though he's 40 years old now, I think, Ipswich could definitely use a player with a lot of experience, especially a lot of Premier League experience. I think Ipswich is going to be just fine. They might miss out on playoffs by about 5 points. A lot of that due to probably being fatigue of the Premier League, and especially a team that's not really super used to that system. The championship could be a pretty tough year. This could be a pretty tough year for them. 8th, Millwall. Sorry, Millwall, but missing out by 2 points playoffs. Once again, just narrowly missing out. I don't know why. It's like there's just something blocking them away from getting into the playoffs, and I honestly don't know what it is. Like, this is probably one of the best looking Millwall sides I've seen, in my opinion. Like, there's quite a few players here that I could definitely see helping them out, and they already have quite a bit in some cases. Alex Neil I think is slowly shaping into being a pretty good manager in the championship. I feel like a few years ago he was a bit questionable, but I actually don't think he's doing too badly. I think it's still a bit of a weird thought to think that could be a Premier League manager, but yeah, I don't know. For some reason, Millwall just can't get the job done at the very end, and I think it's going to happen again. 7th, I think missing out by literal goal difference for playoffs and getting 7th. Sheffield United. This could be my bias coming in that I just don't like Sheffield United because how boring they end up being in the Premier League and how pretty much useless they become. But I think they're going to have a bit of a bad start, and it's gonna just be the reason why they go out. I think Reed Brewster is going to have a shockingly bad year in the championship. I mean, to be fair, he's already had shockingly bad every year. I don't know why I said shockingly bad. I thought he was doing way better. Apparently, he's got 7 goals in 106 games for them. All right, never mind. Brewster's going to have a very normal season. Crazy thing, Ruben Stella as the manager should be enough to bring him into the playoffs, but I don't think it will. I think he might even be stacked at the end of the year for this, to be honest. Maybe Steve Cooper. Actually, I could see Steve Cooper being a Sheffield United manager. There we go. That's who I think is going to be the manager. All right, now we're to playoffs. 6th, I'm going to be going with Middlesbrough. I think they're going to have to do it this time, right? I mean, Michael Carrick's no longer there. I was a bit skeptical on like, oh, I don't know if he should have been sacked, but it looks like they're going to be having Rob Edwards as a replacement, who I think is I think is a great replacement. So you know what, fair enough. I don't think they're going to go up though. I think Middlesbrough are going to be going out in the semifinals. So yeah, another year championship for them. Fifth, I think is going to be West Brom. Yeah, West Brom. They've been close a few times, and I think eventually they're going to break through and make it into playoffs again. I am very interested to see how Ryan Mason will do as manager. He's been a caretaker a few times for Spurs. He's actually a pretty young manager. I think he's only 34 because he got a career-ending injury in 2017 while playing for Hull City. And basically ever since then, he's basically been in the Spurs backroom staff. The only real worry I have is goalkeeping. Joe Wildsmith's not someone I think should be a starting goaltender. And then even then, I'm even more worried about Josh Griffin's being a starting goaltender. Literally just came out of Bristol Rovers, and now one of them is going to be the starter. I don't know. A little worrying about that, which I think is enough for me to think they're going to be eliminated in the semifinals of the Promotion playoffs. Fourth, Swansea. Yeah, Swansea City now has partial ownership with Luka Modric and Snoop Dogg. What the fuck? Yeah, apparently those two have something in common now. Never thought that would happen, but here we are. Not only does Swansea have a big excitement for that, but in general, this team always brings in good youth academy products. And I think all is going to collide with, the big energy boost having two huge names suddenly making big investments in this team. And not only that, this team was already kind of in top half, trying to push into playoffs. I think this will be enough for them to go in. However, it won't be enough for the Premier League. I think they're losing Promotion playoff final. Unfortunately for them, it could have been a huge marketing boost if in the first year Modric and Snoop Dogg had ownership in this team. They go right to the Premier League. I can't imagine how many opportunities that could have opened up for Swansea, but they're going to have to wait for them, I guess. Third, Leicester City. I think Leicester are actually going to miss out on automatics by about 2 points. I don't really think their manager is quite as good as their previous ones, although their players are quite good, which is why I think, yeah, they're definitely going to be winning Promotion playoffs. But yeah, their attack is not, although they have Bobby Takoa, Reed, Jordan Ayew is a little bit older now. But yeah, their attack is a little bit underwhelming, and players like Wilfred Ndidi have honestly dropped off quite a lot in recent years, and I really don't know how good he's going to be at this point. I do think they're definitely going up again, but it won't be as easy as it was last time. Second, Coventry. I think people forget that Frank Lampard's actually a good manager in the Championship. Like, yeah, he sucks in the Premier League, but he only ever takes Premier League offers. He was great with Derby County. He only just barely missed out on playoffs. Going up on playoffs, but I think he can do it automatically. I think he'll be close, but I think he'll be able to pull it off. A few of these Coventry players have really shot up in quality ever since Lampard's taken over, and with a full season with Lampard, this can be a very different Coventry, a way better one than we saw even last year. And obviously that leads first place Southampton. I feel like Southampton's going to get like 106 points or something crazy like that. It's going to be no competition. Will Still is manager, a manager that went on a crazy undefeated streak with Rennes. Pretty young manager. And he has a 3 pairing of Alex McCarthy, Aaron Ramsdale, and Gavin Bazunu. 3 goaltenders I think could honestly be starting goaltenders for most championship teams in the league. They have all 3 of them together. On top of the fact they have Taylor Harwood-Bellis, Jan Burdenak, Murray Bell-Kotchup. Although they did lose Kyle Walker-Peters, it seems to be one of the only major players they lost. They still have Will Smallbone, Matthew Fernandez, Ryan Fraser, Ben Brereton-Diaz, Adam Armstrong, Cameron Archer. I think great players to the championship for sure. I think Adam Armstrong's probably going to be Golden Boot even. As a championship's kind of his place, probably get like 35 goals. Why not, right? This is definitely going to be Southampton's season for sure. But that's going to do it for this video. If you like the video, subscribe, turn on notifications if you enjoyed. But if you're coming back and watching this now that season's over, I hope I really made you laugh, because I know for a fact there's going to be at least like 3 or 4 of these are going to be horrifically wrong. I mean, I'm really being generous to myself on that as well, by the way. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.